So picture this. You walk into a dealership, you've done your research, you know exactly what car you want, you've even looked up the invoice price online. You feel prepared, you feel confident. The salesperson is friendly, really friendly. They're nodding along, they seem to understand exactly what you're looking for. After the test drive, they say those magic words, "Let me see what I can do for you." They disappear into the back office for what feels like forever. When they come back, they've got this apologetic smile on their face. Okay, so I went to bat for you with my manager. He usually never does this, but because you're such a serious buyer, we can do $427 a month. That works for you, right? And here's where it happens. You're sitting there thinking about monthly payments. That number sounds reasonable and you're tired. You've been there for 2 hours already. So you say yes. Congratulations. You just overpaid by about $7,000 and you have no idea. My name is Rayhan, and I spend way too much time thinking about how dealerships separate people from their money. If you're someone who's planning to buy a car in the next few months, or someone who just knows they're getting ripped off but can't figure out exactly how, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up, because what I'm about to show you is going to fundamentally change how you think about buying cars. And look, I get it. Car buying is stressful. It's one of the biggest purchases most people will ever make after buying a house. And unlike a house, a car starts losing value the second you drive it off the lot. The average new car in 2026 costs $48,623, according to Kelley Blue Book. That's not a small number. That's a down payment on a house in many parts of the country. But here's the thing that absolutely drives me crazy. Most people walk into a dealership thinking they're negotiating on price, when in reality, they're not negotiating at all. They're being guided through a carefully designed system that's been perfected over decades to extract the maximum amount of money possible while making you feel like you got a good deal. The average person focuses on the wrong number. They focus on monthly payment, and that one mistake, that one psychological shift from thinking about total price to thinking about monthly payment costs the average car buyer between $5,000 and $8,000 in extra costs. Let me say that again, $5,000 to $8,000. That's not me making up a number to scare you. According to a 2025 study by Consumer Reports, buyers who negotiated based on monthly payment paid an average of $6,347 more over the life of their loan compared to buyers who negotiated on total price. Now you might be thinking, okay, Rayhan, but monthly payment matters. I have a budget. I need to know what I'm paying each month. And you're absolutely right. Monthly payment does matter. But here's the problem. When you tell a salesperson, I can afford $400 a month, you've just told them exactly how much money they can extract from you, and they will find a way to get you to that $400 payment while maximizing their profit. How? It's actually genius in the worst possible way. Let me show you what happens in that back office. It's called the four square method, and even though everyone knows about it now, it still works because of how our brains process information. The salesperson draws a paper with 4 boxes: trade-in value, purchase price, down payment, and monthly payment. Then they start moving numbers around between these boxes like they're playing 3-card Monte. Here's a real example. Let's say you want to buy a car that has a fair market value of $30,000. You've got a trade-in worth $8,000, and you want to keep your payments around $400 a month. Scenario 1, they give you a great deal on the purchase price, $28,000. You're excited. You negotiated them down $2,000. But they lowball your trade-in at $5,000. Net result, you paid $23,000 for the car. That's $23,000 you're financing. Scenario 2, they give you an amazing trade-in value, $10,000, $2,000 more than it's worth, but the purchase price is $32,000. Net result, you're financing $22,000 over 6 years instead of 5, and you're paying an extra $3,456 in interest. Scenario 3, they hit you with both. Purchase price stays at $32,000, trade-in drops to $6,000, but they extend the loan from 60 months to 72 months. Now your payment is $398. You're excited because you're under $400, but you're financing $26,000 over 6 years instead of 5, and you're paying an extra $3,456 in interest. This is where it gets really interesting. All 3 scenarios can be presented to you as your monthly payment is under $400, but the actual amount you're paying for the car varies by thousands of dollars. And because our brains are really bad at calculating present value and total cost, when we're thinking in monthly terms, we don't catch it. Look, dealerships aren't evil. They're businesses trying to make money, but they've spent millions of dollars figuring out exactly how to exploit specific psychological vulnerabilities that we all have. Anchoring effect. The first number you hear becomes your reference point. That's why the sticker price on a new car is often $5,000 to $10,000 higher than what anyone actually pays. When they discount it down to their actual target price, you feel like you won, but you didn't win. They just anchored you to an artificially high number. Decision fatigue. The average car buying process takes 4.5 hours, according to a 2025 JD Power study. That's not an accident. The longer you're there, the exhausted you get, and the more likely you are to just say yes to make it stop. Every form they have you fill out, every time they go check with their manager, every add-on they present, it's all designed to wear you down. The compromise effect is my favorite because it's so obvious once you see it. They show you three options: the base model, the mid-tier, and the fully loaded. The base model is stripped down and kind of depressing. The fully loaded is absurdly expensive. So you pick the middle one. Guess which one has the highest profit margin? The middle one. You just bought exactly what they wanted you to buy while thinking you made a rational, balanced decision. Loss aversion. This price is only good today. If you come back tomorrow, I can't guarantee we'll still have the car or that we can offer this deal. The reality is that car will be there tomorrow. That deal will still be available, but your brain screams at you to act now to avoid losing something. Now, here's where dealerships make their real money in 2026, and this is crucial. It's not actually in the car sale anymore. According to the National Automobile Association, the average gross profit on a new car in 2025 is $2,043. That's less than 5% of the sales price. But the average profit on financing and insurance products? $1,897, almost as much as the car itself. Let me explain how this works, because this is genuinely fascinating from a business model perspective. When you finance through the dealership, they're acting as a middleman between you and the actual lender. Let's say the bank approves you for a loan at 6% interest. The dealership can legally mark that up and charge you 8% without telling you what rate you actually qualified for. That 2% difference, they keep it. It's called a rate markup or a finance reserve. On a $30,000 loan over 60 months, that 2% markup puts an extra $1,568 in the dealership's pocket, and you have no idea it happened because you don't know what rate you actually qualified for. But wait, it gets better. Sorry, I mean worse. It gets worse. They're also going to try to sell you extended warranty, $1,500 to $2,500, profit margin of 50 to 80%, gap insurance, $400 to $700, profit margin of 60 to 80%, paint protection, $300 to $1,000, profit margin of 90%, fabric protection, $200 to $500, profit margin of 95%, and VIN etching, $200 to $400, profit margin 100%. It literally costs them $5. If you buy all of these, which many people do because they're presented as only an extra $40 a month, you've just added $5,000 to your purchase with a blended profit margin of about 75%. The dealership just made $3,750 in pure profit from these add-ons. And here's the thing that makes me genuinely frustrated. Most of these products have almost no value. Extended warranties are calculated by actuaries to be profitable for the company, meaning on average, you will pay more for the warranty than you'll ever get back in repairs. Gap insurance is often already included in comprehensive insurance policies. And paint protection? You can buy the same ceramic coating from a detail shop for $300 that they're charging you $1,000 for. Before we get into how to actually negotiate, we need to talk about something that nobody thinks about until it's too late: the total cost of ownership. Let's use a real example. You're looking at a $35,000 SUV. You put $5,000 down and finance $30,000 at 7% for 60 months. Your monthly payment is $594. Most people stop calculating there. They think, okay, $594 a month for 5 years, that's $35,640 total. Not great, but manageable. But that's not the real cost. Let's add everything up. Monthly payment, $594 times 60 equals $35,640. Full coverage insurance, average SUV in 2026, $185 times 60 equals $11,100. Gas, 15,000 miles per year at 25 mpg, $3.50 a gallon, $262.50 times 60 equals $15,750. Maintenance and repairs, moderate estimate, $150 times 60 equals $9,000. Registration and fees, $250 times 5 equals $1,250. Total cost over 5 years, $72,740. For a $35,000 car, you're actually paying $72,740 over 5 years. That's more than double the sticker price. And after those 5 years, the car is worth maybe $14,000 if you're lucky. So the real cost of that car is $72,740 minus $14,000 in remaining value equals $58,740. You spent almost $60,000 to own a depreciating asset for 5 years. Now you might be thinking, okay, Rayhan, but I need a car. I have to get to work. What am I supposed to do? And that's a fair point. I'm not saying don't buy a car. I'm saying understand what you're actually buying and what it actually costs. Because once you see these numbers clearly, you start making very different decisions. All right, here's what you actually need to do. This is the framework that will save you thousands of dollars if you follow it exactly. Step 1. Get pre-approved for financing 2 to 3 weeks before. Before you even look at cars, go to your bank or credit union and get pre-approved for an auto loan. This gives you 2 massive advantages. First, you know exactly what interest rate you actually qualify for. When the dealer tries to beat it, you'll know if they're really giving you a better deal or just lying about your approval rate. Second, you're now a cash buyer from the dealership's perspective. You're not there to finance through them, you're there to buy a car. This eliminates half of their profit strategy immediately. Step 2. Research the true market value. Use TrueCar, Edmunds, and KBB to find out what people are actually paying for the car you want in your area. Not the MSRP, not the invoice price, the actual transaction price. This is your target number. For used cars, check the same car across multiple dealerships and private sellers. Look at ones that have been on the lot for more than 45 days. Those dealers are motivated to move them. Step 3. Initial contact, email only. Here's something that will change everything. Don't go to the dealership first. Email 5 to 7 dealerships in your area with this exact message. Hello, I'm looking to purchase a blank with blank. I'm a serious buyer with pre-approved financing. I'm emailing several dealerships to get out the door pricing. Please provide your best price including all fees and taxes. If your price is competitive, I'll come in this week to complete the purchase. Thank you. This does several crucial things. It makes you a price-focused buyer, not a payment-focused buyer. It creates competition between dealerships. It sets the expectation that you're not there to negotiate for hours. You're there to buy at a fair price. And it puts everything in writing. You'll get responses ranging from, "We need you to come in," to actual out-the-door prices. The dealerships that respond with real numbers are the ones actually competing for your business. Step 4. The in-person visit. Okay, you've got your best price from the email process. Now you're going in to actually buy the car. Here's the script. Hi, I'm here to see blank. I've got their out-the-door quote of blank and I'm ready to move forward if the car checks out. Test drive the car, inspect it carefully. If everything looks good, great. I'm ready to move forward at the price quoted. Let's do the paperwork. Now here's what's going to happen. They're going to try to renegotiate. They're going to say that was just an estimate, that was based on different options, that was for a different car. Stand firm. I have the email right here with the stock number and the price. If that's no longer available, I understand, but I'm going to go with one of the other dealerships that responded. Literally stand up and start walking out. This is crucial. You have to be willing to walk away. In my experience, about 70% of the time, they'll honor the price. About 20% of the time, they'll come back with something very close, and about 10% of the time, they won't budge. And that's fine, because you have 4 to 6 other dealerships to work with. Now, step 5, the finance office. This is the final boss. You've agreed on a price. Now you're in the finance office where they're going to try to sell you all those add-ons I mentioned earlier. Here's your line. I'm not interested in any additional products. I just want to purchase the car at the agreed upon price. They will push. They will make it seem crazy not to buy these products. They'll say things like, "You're really going to drive off the lot without any protection?" Your response is, "I appreciate the offer, but I'm not interested. Let's move forward with the paperwork." If they pressure you on the extended warranty, your response is, "I've done the math on the expected value and I'll self-insure." If they pressure you on gap insurance, your response is, "I'm putting enough down that I won't be underwater." If they pressure you on paint protection, your response is, "I'll get that done independently if I decide I want it." The key is to be polite but immovable. You're not there to be convinced. You're there to complete a transaction. Now, here's something I want you to consider that might completely change your approach. What if you didn't buy new? A 2024 study by IC Cars found that the average new car loses 20% of its value in the first year and 60% of its value in 5 years. That $35,000 we talked about, it's worth $28,000 after 1 year and $14,000 after 5 years. But here's where it gets interesting. The depreciation curve flattens dramatically after the first 3 years. A 3-year-old car might have lost 40% of its value, but over the next 3 years, it will only lose another 20 to 25%. So instead of buying a $35,000 new car, buy the same car that's 3 years old for $21,000. You avoided $14,000 in depreciation. Put the $14,000 you saved into an index fund earning 10% annually, and after 5 years, when the person who bought new has a car worth $14,000, you have a car worth $11,000 plus $22,567 in investments. Net difference in wealth, $19,567 in your favor from one decision made 8 years earlier. And these compound. If you consistently buy 3-year-old cars instead of new cars every time you need a vehicle, over a 40-year working life, the difference is approximately $347,000. That's not a typo. $347,000. That's the actual cost of always buying new cars instead of slightly used ones. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Rihan, I don't want to deal with someone else's problems. I want a new car with a warranty and no issues. And look, I get that. There's psychological value in owning something new. But let's be honest about what you're actually buying. You're not buying reliability. Many used cars with 30,000 miles are more reliable than brand new cars that could have factory defects. You're buying the feeling of newness. And that's fine, but recognize it's an emotional purchase, not a rational one. If you're truly worried about reliability, buy a certified pre-owned vehicle with a warranty. You get most of the benefits of new, warranty, thorough inspection, often some remaining manufacturer warranty, at 70% of the price. It's the best of both worlds. But what about the interest rates? Used car loans have higher rates. Yes, but the total interest paid is lower because you're borrowing less. Let's do the math. New car, $30,000 at 6% for 60 months equals $5,180 in interest. Used car, $18,000 at 7.5% for 60 months equals $3,554 in interest. Even with a higher rate, you pay less interest because the principal is lower, and you saved $12,000 upfront. Here's what most people don't realize, and this is the thing that changed how I think about money entirely. Every dollar you don't spend on a car is a dollar you can invest, and over time, invested dollars grow exponentially while car dollars evaporate. Let's say you're 30 years old and you're deciding between a $35,000 new car and a $21,000 used car. You're saving $14,000 by going used. Put that $14,000 in a retirement account, earning 10% annually until you're 65. At age 65, that single $14,000 decision is worth $388,737. $388,000 from one car purchase decision made at age 30. This is the opportunity cost that nobody talks about. Yes, you can afford a $600 car payment, but what's the actual cost? It's not just $600, it's $600 plus all the growth that money would have generated over decades if you'd invested it instead. The person who drives a modest car and invests the difference becomes a millionaire. The person who drives impressive cars and finances them stays middle class. It's really that simple and that brutal. Okay, here's exactly what you need to do. If you're buying in the next 30 days, get pre-approved for financing at your bank or credit union by this weekend. Spend 2 hours total researching true market values on TrueCar, Edmunds, and KBB. Send the email template to 5 to 7 dealerships on Monday. Compare responses, pick the top 3 prices. Visit the best one first and be ready to walk away. Buy the car at the price quoted, refuse all add-ons. Celebrate saving $5,000 to $8,000. If you're not buying immediately, calculate the total cost of ownership for the car you want. Compare that to buying a 2 to 3-year-old version of the same car. Calculate what investing the difference would give you over 30 years. Decide if the new car feeling is worth the 6-figure opportunity cost. If you're currently making car payments, check if you're underwater or owe more than the car's worth. If you're not underwater, consider selling private party and buying something cheaper. Take the monthly payment difference and set up automatic investments. In 5 years, you'll have enough invested to buy your next car in cash. Look, I know this video has been kind of intense. I know I've thrown a lot of numbers at you and maybe made you feel anxious about a purchase you were excited about. That's not my goal. My goal is to give you clarity. Because here's the thing. Knowledge is power, but only if you use it. You now know more about car negotiation than 95% of people who walk into dealerships. You understand the psychology they use. You know the actual numbers. You have a specific strategy that works. But none of that matters if you don't actually follow through. If you walk into a dealership without preparation and get excited about a car and finance it based on monthly payment, you'll lose thousands of dollars, and you'll know you're doing it. That's actually worse than not knowing, because now you can't even enjoy the car without remembering what it actually cost you. So my challenge to you is this. Take this seriously. Treat your car purchase like a 6-figure decision it actually is when you account for opportunity cost. Be willing to delay gratification. Be willing to buy something less impressive if it means financial freedom later. The car you drive does not define you. Your net worth does not define you, but your financial decisions compound over decades and determine whether you retire comfortably or work until you're 75, whether your kids have college paid for or graduate with debt, whether you have options or obligations. This is bigger than a car. This is about understanding that every financial decision you make is actually an identity decision. You're deciding who you're going to be in 10 years, in 20 years, in 40 years. The person driving the impressive car with the $600 payment becomes someone very different than the person driving the modest car with investments. Choose wisely. If this video helped you see car buying differently, hit that subscribe button because I make videos every week breaking down exactly how to navigate the financial decisions that actually matter. Give it a thumbs up if you got value from this. And remember, the best time to buy a car is when you need one, not when you want one. The second best time to negotiate is before you fall in love with a specific vehicle. Thanks for watching. Now, go save yourself some money.